Good afternoon. There is no such thing as away. When we throw anything away, it must go somewhere. After 2 weeks, we are back with new topic. Start composting with daily dump. Myself, Supriya Naika, hosting this program. Before starting this program, I like to introduce Creative. Creative is a group of people, like-minded people who are eager to gain the knowledge. And meaning of creative, cre means creativity, active means activeness. Creative is a tagline of creative is knowledge square. Squaring out, sharing of knowledge will increases our knowledge or doubles our knowledge. Vision of creative is to build constructive thinking and progress in various fields, and our focus is on non-textual, non-academic, non-syllabus related topics. And we creating a platform to present the resource persons to present their knowledge and create innovations, discoveries with us. And we are thankful to all our resource persons for engaging us. You may know we are conducting webinars every weekend and Saturday from 3 to 4 using a Zoom platform, and we are live streaming our program through YouTube channel. All our creative activities will be updated in our social media, and we have WhatsApp group. I'll drop a link in chat box. And today we have Rasia with us to present today's talk, and I welcome Rasia ma'am and all creative participants and volunteers for today's session. And I invite Srinath sir to introduce today's speaker. Over to Srinath sir.
Good afternoon and good day to all. Namaskarams to one and all. It is my special privilege to introduce very creative, reactive and very young and dynamic speaker, Rasia madam. Thank you madam for accepting to be part of this particular webinar. Rasia works in the sales and marketing team at Daily Dump, on which I requested my another colleague Shri Vijayashree to throw some light on Daily Dump, for which she is a daily consumer in Bangalore. As a trained environmental engineer, she was greatly pained by the overflowing landfills and trash which litter around our roadsides, and started searching for an alternatives to regular items at home. She follows a low-waste lifestyle, eats an earthy-friendly plant-based diet, and has been composting her kitchen waste for the past 3 years. She feels anyone can be a hero by just being conscious about what we can consume and the industries and other things. She wanted to be a part of company which contributes mitigating these issues, and Daily Dump was the perfect fit. This is the what you call official bio given by the team to me. However, what I understood is the Daily Dump has been doing a quite remarkable work in the, to my knowledge, in Bangalore city, based in Indranagar. They have a certain useful products where it's a low-cost products, which you can see the backdrop of Russia. You can take these things at home and convert your what you call bio waste or kitchen waste, or which in general BBMP terminology it is called wet waste. So that's how you can contribute back to the society. There are so many young people like Russia are working with the Daily Dump, which I could go through the profile of the Daily Dump. Madam, it's a special privilege for me to introduce to you, and we are honored that you have accepted to be part of this. Few words, Vijayashree would like to say something. Supriya, over to you. If Vijayashree is ready, she can also add a few words about Daily Dump. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Srinath, and thank you, Priya madam. And then actually, I had visited Daily Dump in the year 2013, and then I had got that three stack Kamba, and I have been using it right from 2013. And then the calculation goes like this: daily 1 kg of waste, and then for 1 year it will be 365 kgs. And then for the past 8 years, so approximately around 2 tons of wet waste from my kitchen, I have been able to convert that one into compost. And then I have been in touch with Daily Dump from then. And then I'm a regular visitor to that place in Indranagar. It has changed place from 12th Main to 13th Main, and then I'm happy that I'll be able, actually I'm associated with Daily Dump, and I'm happy to see that they are on this platform. And then thank you, Srinath, and thank you, Creative Team, to talk about that one, and then associate with Daily Dump and Creative. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay ma'am. Over to Rasya ma'am.
Yes. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. That was a great introduction of me and of Daily Dump. I have a small presentation. It's not really small, but I'm going to go through it as fast as possible. So yeah, without much further ado, I'm just going to share my screen. So my audio is coming from a different profile and the video is coming from a different profile because of some technical issues. I hope that is fine. If there's any issue, do reach out to one of the co-hosts. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, it's visible. You can carry on.
You can, it's visible, right? I'm just gonna play it. Okay. Hold on one second. Okay. Yeah, so just a quick brief about Daily Dump. We were established in 2006 in just a small garage space of our founder, Poonam ma'am's house. And then after that, we have expanded into many cities and even outside India. And we are a design-led brand. So any composter, any product that we introduce into the market, a lot of design, a lot of effort goes into it just to make sure that it's easily compostable, it's easily usable by people. And a lot of our products are very beginner friendly, as I will explain to you in a couple of slides. And yeah, we have kept over 50,000, 45 tons of waste, organic waste out of landfills. We have thousands of customers across India and abroad. And many of our products help the livelihood of craftsmen. Like pottery is a dying art. So we really try to keep that alive also. And yeah, so a couple of snippets about Daily Dump and how to contact us. Our website and email is also, you can see it at the bottom of the screen. So, right. So now can anyone tell me what this landmass is? What do you think you're seeing on your screens right now? You can quickly unmute yourself and one person, if you can just tell me.
Maybe a dump yard.
Rasya, just unmute yourself.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right, yeah. So yeah, this is unfortunately India's Mount Everest of trash, as the nickname that it has earned itself. And it is in New Delhi. It's the Ghazipur landfill. So what happens is when people don't segregate our waste and you mix all your plastic and paper and kitchen waste and electronic waste and everything goes into one, one of those black trash bags that you usually tie and throw out. This is where it ends up. And the people living in that area, they actually have to go into the landfill, open up these bags. Many of them will already be open. And it's a very hazardous and dangerous job that even they have to go through. They will open it and they'll try to clean it and take these recyclables out to be recycled in the industry. So we can reduce the mass of this landfill. We can reduce it greatly by just segregating, composting, recycling, all of these other things. But I want to spend another minute on this because you may have heard that recently, just a couple of days ago, the landfill unfortunately caught on fire. It frequently catches on fire almost every year. But because of the heat, which is again due to climate change, climate change, things have gotten really bad at the landfill. It was pretty much immersed in fire, the whole of the landfill. And we've been trying to, firefighters have been trying to end it, and it's still burning. Parts of it are still burning. So this is, it's kind of an urgent matter as to why we should segregate our waste, be careful with what we are consuming, what we are throwing out, try to reduce overall the amount of trash that you're throwing out, the things that you're buying from Amazon, and, just be mindful about the things that you consume, the amount of trash that you produce, and even the small amount of trash that you produce, try to segregate it, try to compost it. So I think it's kind of urgent that we need to move towards a more circular economy right now. So let's move into composting. So yeah, so again, someone can just unmute yourself and tell me what is the percentage of waste from Indian household that you think can be composted? So from a scale of 1 to 100, how much of waste comes from kitchen? What do you think is the percentage? Any quick guesses? 40%, 80%?
50%?
50%? Okay, that's a good answer. The correct answer is
90%.
actually, yeah, 90% is awesome. If you eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, I'm sure yours is 90%. But we have made an average, and we have seen that about 60% of the waste from Indian household, especially, is organic matter. It comes from your kitchen. So it's all of your fruits and vegetable peels, some cooked food, bones, all of these things which can be composted, and it belongs in the composter. So it's actually a majority of this waste that can be composted. And even from this 60% of the organic waste, a good chunk of it is actually water. It's moisture. So imagine all of these, waste trucks are carrying copious amounts of water from your house to the landfill, well, and all that fuel and time and effort, manpower is being used and kind of wasted to do this, when we can actually compost 60% and treat that waste in your house itself. And yeah, so if you look at the remaining percentages, 20% of that is about recyclable waste, which should be cleaned. So all plastic, paper, glass, aluminum, all of these things should be cleaned. If there are any food particles in it, they should be rinsed, wiped out, and then you segregate it again and send it to recyclers in your society, in your city, wherever that is. And then there is the rest, 10% of it, which is electronic waste that needs to be safely disposed. And unfortunately, 10% of this will go to landfill, but still sending 10% of it to landfill is still better than sending 100% of it to landfill. So let's begin with organic segregation in your own kitchen. So as and when you're cutting up fruits and vegetables to cook in your kitchen, keep a bowl right on the kitchen counter and make sure it has a lid. Why it needs a lid is so that fruit flies and other kinds of house flies and all are not attracted to that kitchen waste. Keep it covered. Every time, just open it, cut up your fruits and vegetables, the peels and all, put it in that, keep it closed. Another tip that if you want to try out is you can keep this bowl of waste in your fridge. So if you have a small amount of waste one day and you don't want to put all of that into the composter, you can keep it in the fridge, take it out the next day, fill it again with more waste, and then all that waste, dump it into the composter. If you keep it in the fridge, it also kind of keeps it fresh. It doesn't start rotting over 24 hours. So if you're comfortable keeping the waste in your fridge, that is one option. So why we need to segregate your organic waste from the plastic waste, from the glass and cardboard and everything is, for example, look at the spice box in your kitchen. So you have a separate, separate small bowl of mustard, of chili flakes, cloves, cardamom, all of these separate things. And all of them have certain flavors, certain texture when it's separated. But when you mix it all together, it kind of loses its individual components, and it's very difficult to again segregate them and separate them. So the same thing applies to waste. If your plastic or your cardboard waste gets soiled, it gets messy with the kitchen waste because you're not segregating it, you cannot clean it really well. So before even it gets dirty, try and segregate it at source. As soon as you have a drink in a can or a bottle, immediately rinse it out, keep it dry so that you can send it off to recycling. And also another note about your kitchen waste that you are storing, make sure it doesn't have these small packets of milk packets, the corners and all. Try not to add that. Definitely pick those out before you send it out to composting. So let's move on to the types of composting. There are broadly 3 types. One is aerobic, then anaerobic, and bony composting. So aerobic composting happens in the presence of oxygen, which obviously from the name you can understand that. It is a natural type of decomposition that happens in nature, even without any human intervention. This is what happens in nature. And it's a slightly exothermic process, so a small amount of heat is generated, and it is smell-free. And anaerobic, it's the exact opposite of aerobic. So it happens in the absence or in very small quantities of air. So you would need to get a sealed bucket or a sealed kind of container to do this composting. and it is a low temperature process, and it has two steps, one which is called the pickling, and then another process which is called curing. So we're not really going to go into the anaerobic process. I'm going to stick to the aerobic process, which is also what daily dump composters follow. And it is supposed to be a smell-free process, but it's not done perfectly. You may get smell of ammonia and hydrogen sulfide, which is a little off-putting. Then there is Bony Composting, which is done essentially by earthworms. So Bony Composting gives you the best and the richest type of composting, which is done by red regular worms. And the worm castings are essentially what gives your Bony compost. And but I would like to say that it's not very beginner friendly. So if you are a beginner to composting, do stick to the aerobic type of composting, and then look into Bony Composting once you become an expert on the aerobic type. So let's move on. How to select a composter for your family size, for whatever kind of situation you have at home. So if you want to take notes during this time, that would be a good recommendation. So the type of composter that you would get, it depends upon your family size and also the amount of waste that you generate. So the one behind me that you can see, we call that the Gobble Senior Composter. That can handle 1 kg of waste daily. If you put into it, it will fill within about 45 days with 1 kg of waste. And usually we recommend this for a family of 3 adults, 1 child, 2 children, like that. But if you generate a lot of waste as just a 1 or a 2 person household, if you eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, you juice, or you make a lot of smoothies, a lot of salads, you will have more waste. So in that case, you should go for a composter as big as this. So if you're confused between getting a small composter or a large composter and you feel like you fit somewhere in the middle, always go for the larger size. Because the smaller size of composter will fill up quickly and you will be moving the units up and down. You will be moving from one bucket to another frequently. And it's kind of more of a hassle and more effort for you. But if you go for the larger composter, it's going to fill slowly. You will have less of a headache. You won't really have to worry about how fast it is filling. It will take its own time and fill slowly. The two materials that we have is mud, the classic mudka pots that are available for composting, and also plastic. If you're going for plastic, try to look for food grade quality plastic so it doesn't degrade, and microplastic doesn't degrade into the compost that is forming inside it. So all of our composters are food grade quality PP5 plastic, and they're also quite lightweight. A common difference between the mud pot and the plastic one is that the mud pots are really good for aerobic composting because it's a porous material. So airflow happens inside the layers of the pot very well. But in plastic, you have to be a little bit more careful that you have to mix the contents of it frequently to make sure that the bottom layers are getting enough aeration. But another thing about the mud pots is that they're prone to breakage and degradation faster than the plastic ones. And also, if you knock it over by mistake, they may break. That doesn't happen with plastic. So that is just something to keep in mind. And so the next point is the space that is available. You should look into, if you want to keep it in your balcony, if you want to keep it in your terrace, how much space you have available in an aerated space to keep the composter. So if you have a small space, it's better you go for a stackable composter like this. Otherwise, you can go for a row composter if you have more space, where the buckets are placed one beside another right on the floor. Then aeration, ventilation is of course really important. For this, the composter should be placed in a outdoor location. So a covered balcony space, a shaded terrace space, veranda, any of these will work. But make sure that it is kept away from direct rainfall. Because when it rains, the rainwater should not enter the small aeration holes on the side and get into the composter and get it very slushy and too much of water inside it. That should not happen. Keep it away from rain, but keep it in a shaded, ventilated location. And then do you have enough browns? So the brown matter that we need for composting is, for example, shredded dry leaves, cocoa peat, sawdust, shredded paper, cardboard, straw. All of these things will work for composting. So do you have easily available browns? Do you have trees outside to get those browns, or you can get remixed powder cocoa peat from the Daily Dump website? So a couple of these things. And we call the brown matter as the carbon source. The carbon source is the brown matter, and the kitchen waste that you add into the composter is the green. So there should be a good balance of greens and browns and nitrogen and carbon for good composting to happen inside your composter. Then the next thing that is essential for composting is some sort of microbial activity, which will kickstart the composting process and make it happen a little faster. So for that, for example, you can get microbes like this, which we have here at Daily Dump. Oh, sorry, holding it the wrong way. This is microbe. Or what you can do is you can even add sour buttermilk, which has all these microorganisms, which will, the bacteria, and which will really kickstart the process and give it, accelerate the process. You can also look for dry cow dung and then dilute it, make a small slurry out of it, put a spoon of it daily into the compost and give it a mix. That will also help. Yeah, so a couple of these, even panchgavya, if you have access to panchgavya, you can add that also. Then another thing that you have to keep in mind is, are you living alone? Do you live with a family? Who is going to do the composting? If you yourself are going to do the composting, perfectly fine. If you have dogs, cats, kids, and all at home, it's better you take a plastic one so that it doesn't fall over and break accidentally. If an older person in your house is going to do the composting, do help them with it. Of course, if you're taking a terracotta one, it will be difficult for them to move it up and down because it gets quite heavy. And even if it's your house help who you're going to train to do the composting process, make sure it's easy for them to understand. And yeah, just make it as easy and hassle-free for them to understand. Set up the process correctly. Help them as much as possible with the process too. So these are examples of some DIY composters that people have made. You can make drills on the side of these large drums and buckets and keep a bowl or a plant, those the watering pots under it to catch any excess liquid. Usually the liquid should actually be absorbed by the browns and it should remain in the compost. But if there is any excess moisture, that can be caught by keeping a plate outside it. So this is an option. And even the lid, if you want, you can put a couple of holes on the bottom, on the top of it. The only issue I would see with large drums like this is that you really have to get in there and mix it. So if you have a rake like this would end up being too small for a drum like that. So you would need a large rake or a large stick to really get in there and mix it well for aeration. That is the fourth point in this. So aeration is really important for composting. Just a quick water break. Okay, so some options for small tight spaces is stackable composter, like I mentioned, the Gobelsinia, and also our Khamba, which is a stackable model. So you can see it hardly takes up like a space of a bucket in the corner of your balcony. So this is a great option. If you're in Bangalore, the Khambas can be delivered to you. Otherwise, the plastic ones can be delivered to any corner of India. Then a couple of DIY options. So matkas and all, which you can keep with a pot underneath. Yeah, and then you start adding your waste into the first one, then go to the second one, then go to the third one, and then come back to the first one. That's how this row form of composting will work. So let's complete the equation of what exactly goes inside a composter. So as I said, nitrogen is from the food, is a brown matter that you add. Then water is already present in the food waste, but if it gets too dry, you can sprinkle some water inside it. And it's an aerobic process of composting. So obviously oxygen is needed. So compost is formed, and then there is some amount of heat energy that is released in the form, in the form of heat. Then there is leachate that comes out of it. Some of this leachate could be absorbed by the compost itself and keep it, contained in the compost. Otherwise, you can open a tap and drain it out. Then there is carbon dioxide that is released. So if you take an outward look at this reaction, it looks like breathing, right? You're taking in oxygen, releasing carbon dioxide. That's why this is the natural process of composting that happens right outside in nature. Right, and composting with daily dumps is completely foolproof and smell proof with this magical powder that we have made called remix powder. So that is what the bag looks like. It's a big brown bag. It is essentially mixed with cocoa peat, microbes, and compost, really mixed together. So I have a little container of this remix powder in here. This is what it looks like. It's quite fine. It's a dry, finely powdered powder. All right, moving on. So I'm going to show you a demo in this composter right here. Okay, I'm just stopping the screen share till I show you the demo. So what I did was I took the first unit of the Gobble Senior composter. So the Gobble Senior has 4 units to it. It's A, B, C, D. So you always start composting in the topmost unit, which is the A unit. Once the A unit gets full, you bring it down, you take the B units out, start composting in the B. Once the B is, so A goes down, then B goes on top. So you basically fill A, B, C. Then once the contents of A, B, C are full, then contents of A gets emptied into the D unit, into the last unit. So I'm not going to confuse you with that, but that's kind of how it works. And you can see that the A unit has a hole at the bottom. So this hole is again for aeration. So before you add any food waste into it, this hole needs to be closed. Otherwise, the remix and the waste may fall through it. So I'm going to close that hole with a sheet of paper. So you just add it like this and close the hole. All right. And I have some kitchen waste here, which is going to go into the Gobble Senior. Always, as the first layer to composting, you should always add the browns at the bottom. Why we need to do that is when you are adding the kitchen waste on top of that, if there is any moisture in the kitchen waste, and there will be moisture, that moisture will be absorbed by whatever browns you put at the bottom. So for this demo, I'm going to add the remix powder that I showed you earlier into the A part of the Gobble Senior. So I'm going to take a few handfuls and put it into this. Okay. All right. So that is one layer that I've added. Now I have some kitchen waste here, and some of this is going to go into this. Okay, I'm just going to add the whole thing into it actually, so this is not a lot of it. So even if you have flowers from puja, all of that can go inside this. So here is a small flower waste from the puja prayers and all. Large pieces of waste and large pieces of flower waste and all, you can rip it up, cut it into small pieces and put it into the composter. So once you have finished one layer, add more browns on top of this and cover it completely. And really cover it completely. Another thing that you can do is the bucket or the bowl that already had the waste, you can add some of the brown matter into this and mix it, and then add this into the composter. That is another option. If you have a lot of waste, it's better to do that, so that the moisture gets absorbed by the browns and it doesn't smell once it's inside the composter. So I'm going to add one more layer to make sure that everything is completely covered. There should not be large chunks of visible amounts of waste that is sticking out once you have covered the brown. I hope it's visible. Okay. So once this is done, yeah, you can actually put a piece of paper to just cover the top of it. This will help to make sure that the fruit flies and all other kind of flies don't get attracted to this. But if you add enough amount of remix powder or carbon to cover it completely, you can skip the paper on top. Yeah, so this is essentially all that you have to do for composting. And then once a week, what you can do is you can add 1 spoon of these microbes. 1 spoon of microbe powder. Then there's also a neem powder that can be added. This is neem powder that will help to keep pests away and give you a better quality of compost. And also, if there are any gardeners, you would know why neem powder is good for overall composting. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to also mix the waste correctly. So you keep adding. So this much is full now after I added today's waste. So once this is done, you add another layer of waste here, then another layer, then another layer, then another. So within about a week or 10 days, this whole thing will get full. Once it gets full, or even when it's reached even halfway, what you can do is take a rake and go right inside, reach the bottom layers, and move this rake around and pull it up. So what happens with that is the bottom layers, which are already quite hot from the the activity that is happening in the bottom, and the top layers, which are still quite cold and which has the fresh waste, those will get nicely mixed and churned. So that will give you a better quality of compost. The process will also happen better, and the bits on top will get composted better. So you really have to push this rake deep inside the composter at the bottommost part, and then turn it around and pull it up for it to get nicely mixed and aerated. So this is a very important step. Please don't skip the mixing part of it. Some people have come to us saying that the compost is smelling. That is because you're not adding enough of the brown matter, or you're not mixing the composter properly. If these 2 steps are done, most of the issues that people have with composting will be solved. So just a tip to keep in mind. All right, I'm just gonna get back to the PPT right now. Okay, so yeah, let's look at what can go into a composter. All types of fruit and vegetable peels, of course, can go into it. If you have large pieces, even of these fruits and vegetable peels, cut it up into small pieces. Cooked food can go in, meat, fish, bones, all. Sorry, one second. Sorry about that. So yeah, meat and fish bones can also go into it, but you may see that the bones are not completely composted after the end of one cycle. You may need to pick it out, or you can sieve it. After you're done sieving it, the large pieces of waste will be left in the sieve. The bones and all will be left in the sieve. Pick it out, put it back into the composter for another cycle. So tea and coffee grounds, all of that definitely can go in, but don't put in tea bags, because tea bags, some of those have woven plastic in it. So try and open it and dump in the tea and the coffee grounds separately. And also, another note, don't use tea bags. Try to keep using tea bags altogether. Yeah, seeds, eggshells, dried flowers, uncoated pieces of paper can go in, because coated paper will have plastic on it. So all of these can go in. Just keep in, it's a good rule of mine to keep in mind that anything that you can crush with your hands, anything that you can break with your hands, anything that you can cut with a knife, do make it, cut it into smaller pieces as much as possible to put into the composter. You will get a better quality of compost and it will break down faster also. I even cut down banana peels, even though it's not necessary. Just as I'm finished eating, just cut it up. It'll just take you 1 minute. Just cut it up, store it in a box, dump it into the composter. Very simple. So let's look at what can't go into a composter. Coconut waste, although it is organic, it cannot go in because it's a very hard, sturdy substance and it will take you months and years to break it down. So don't add that. Plastic, of course, definitely don't. Newspaper, some people do add, but it's a personal choice because it has inks in it which may or may not be harmful. So that's up to you. Disposable paper cups, all of those definitely don't add. All of these other things, shiny coated plastic, chip wrappers, cigarette butts, all that will not go into a composter. So let's see how a composting process itself happens inside one of our composters. This is a layer of kitchen waste that you added. Add brown matter, the remix powder, cocoa peat, whatever it is on top of it. Good layer of it. No large chunks of waste should be seen when you're looking from the top. And after a couple of days or a week later, this is what it looks like. And you also have to mix it. So that's why it looks a bit mixed, basically. And then after 2 weeks or so, you may see these small kind of worms in it. Those are not actually worms. Those are maggots of the black soldier fly. And they're very helpful for composting. I'll come back to that pretty soon. And after a month or so, yeah, it's almost composted. This you can expect it to look like this. And this is what seized compost looks like, which is ready to be put in your plants. And this is a video that I took about 2-3 days ago of me adding the kitchen waste and adding the browns on top. So I personally have the gobble. Right, so I'm just going to show you what this video is. So this literally, I just took this video about 2-3 days ago, adding the waste and adding the browns in my gobblenia. Okay, and then, so this is compost from the base unit, that is the D unit of this gobblenia. And it's been there for almost 2.5 months. So I took it directly from that and put it into the plant. Yeah, so I was talking about the black soldier fly maggots and why they are important for composting. We call them the superheroes of composting because they really help to break down the waste matter quite faster. They are faster than even the red regular earthworms. They thrive on decaying matter and they literally gobble it up so fast. And if you see a lot of them in your composter, that means your compost has a lot of moisture and a lot of warmth, which can be treated by mixing and adding more brown. And sometimes they leave behind this nitrogen-rich casting, which you can crush and mix it into the compost itself. And once they become adults, the adult flies, this is what they look like, and they're completely harmless. If you once you start composting, you may actually see these in your balcony and near your plants. That means the maggots are in your composter. If you see 2-3 of them on the top level, rest assured there'll be more under it. So when you're mixing the pile and you're aerating it, you may actually come across these maggots. Don't be scared of them. They will not bite you. They will not harm you. Even if 1 or 2 falls down, you can just sweep it away. They'll crawl away. They won't harm you at all. It may get some getting used to when you suddenly see them in your house, not in your house, in your balcony or in your composter. But yeah, definitely don't be scared of them. Make friends with them. They will only help you compost properly. So let's see how composting in the daily dump khamba, what that looks like. So yeah, this is a stack composter, which we call the khamba, and you can place it. Let's find a good place for you to keep the composter. You can keep it in the corner of your balcony, your garden, terrace. Just make sure that it's kept away from rain and any kind of pests. So we're going to show you how to compost your kitchen waste in just 5 easy steps. And let's go. So these are the things that you need. Of course, you need your composter, waste, dry leaves, newspaper, remix powder, microbes, rake, and a sieve. So first of all, if you don't segregate your waste, you cannot compost. This is all your kitchen waste. Only the organic kitchen matter can be added into your composter. If you have large pieces of waste which has gone bad, any old potato, tomato, cut it up and check out the manual on dailydump.org. So we have three units in this A, B, C. So let's see what has to be done to the C layer. You can add some dry leaves, crush the dry leaves. You can also add remix powder if you don't have dry leaves to the C unit. This is essentially to absorb any moisture that may drip from the top to the bottom. So on your in your A unit, add some remix powder as a base, right? Every time you add composting, you have to add browns, and then on top of that, add your daily kitchen waste right on top of that, and then again cover it with some remix. Cover it well. Make sure that no waste is seen. And then put a sheet of newspaper. You can put brown paper, anything on top, just to keep it covered so that flies don't get attracted to it. The next day, take off the paper, add more waste, cover with more remix, and then put that sheet of paper back. And then keep on doing this. Once, so what's going to happen is the A unit is going to get full. Once the A unit gets full, let's check it for moisture. Since it's a terracotta pot, it's it may happen that there's not enough moisture in it and it's become quite dry. You add some micros, sprinkle some water and mix it in nicely. And then you take the B unit on top, put the A at the bottom, and do the same with the B unit. So keep on doing this, keep on layering it, add the remix, sprinkle some water if it's too dry. And once the B unit is also full, what you're going to do is take the contents of the A unit and dump it into the C unit. So that is again what will happen even if you have a plastic unit. And so keep on doing this till all of it is complete, and within about 45 days, your compost should be fully ready in the C unit, which takes 6 weeks, 45 days. Then you can again store it into another container, keep it moist, keep on mixing it. Then after about 2 weeks or so, sieve it out and you'll get fine powdery compost. The large pieces go into the composter again. And this is how you become a composting ustad with Daily Dump in just 5 easy steps. So you and your family of about 3 to 4 can keep about 25 kgs of waste away from that horrible landfill we saw in the second slide. So keep the process going and feed your plants. They will completely slurp it up. If you don't have plants at home, don't worry. Give it to your neighbors, give it to your gardener friends, and or feed a tree in your neighborhood, feed some plants and the grass and all. Anything but the landfill. Do not send it out to the landfill. All right, let's move to a quiz. So I want to see how many of you have been paying attention. Sorry, I'm just looking for the chat option. Okay, perfect. So yeah, let's go to the quiz. So this is the first question. To start composting, what are the things that you need? So question 1, you can actually don't yeah. So I am gonna say what you have to do. Type in your answers if it's 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the chat box.
Answer
okay,
2.
Is it answer
2?
Okay. I need everyone to type in the answers. Is it answer 1, answer 2, answer 3, answer 4? And don't direct message it to me. Put it as a public message. I'm sorry. All right. So everyone says that it's the second answer. Yes, and the answer is correct. It is carbon, nitrogen, and water. Answer 2 is the right answer. So well done. I think everyone got it right. Okay, let's move on to the second question. What should be done with large pieces of organic waste? Should you just toss it into the pile, cut it into half, add lots of microbes so that it composts faster, or should you cut it into smaller pieces? Okay. So a couple of answers. I'm so sorry. I keep doing this. All right. Cut it into smaller pieces is the right answer. A lot of people have said answer 4. Yes, answer 4 is the right answer. Well done. Cut it into smaller pieces is the right answer. So when you do that, what happens is, so yeah.
So what happens when you cut it into smaller pieces? Large pieces of waste will take up more space. Also, it will kind of make the process also a little slower. If you're not adding enough browns, it would start smelling. The large pieces of waste will take a longer time to break down. So yes, cut it into smaller.
Rasya, your voice is not clear.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So if waste is not segregated and composted, what happens to it?
Little louder.
If waste is not segregated and composted, what happens to it? I hope it's better. So yeah, answer for question 3. It's only 2 choices. If your waste is not segregated and composted, what happens to it? All right, almost everyone got the right answer. The answer is that it rots and generates greenhouse gases like methane, carbon monoxide, all of these horrible things are released in the landfill, and then the landfill gets on fire like we saw earlier. So it does not compost in a landfill eventually because it is. Am I audible? Any issue with my audio?
You're not audible.
No, Rasya. We are not able to hear.
Okay, I unmuted.
Now it's clear.
It's fine? Okay.
Yes, yes.
1 second. All right. I muted my laptop, so I think it should be fine now. Right. So let's move on to question number 4. Which of the following are considered basic needs of a compost pile? This also is only one answer.
Answer 3.
Answer 3. You can type it in the chat box. Whatever you feel is the right answer, type it in the chat box. Okay, I think maybe the wording of this is a little unclear or confusing. The right answer for this is answer 6. So air circulation, consistent moisture levels 1, 2, 3 are the right answers and the right ingredients. The right ingredients is everything that you add into the composter plus air circulation, consistent moisture levels. The answer is not number 7, which includes sunlight and lots of water. If there's excess water in the composter, a lot of things could go wrong. It will start smelling. Sunlight is not required for composting. It just needs to be in an outdoor shaded area, right? So even if your balcony or corner of the terrace does not get enough sunlight, don't worry about it. You can still use it. And what should not be added into your composter? I did kind of cover this, so I want everyone to get the right answer for this. What should not be added into your composter? Okay, couple of 4, 2. Yes, so correct. Answer 4 is the right answer. Waste oil. So the oil that you use for frying your samosas and pakoras and all, don't add that into the composter. It will clump things up together and not allow air circulation properly. So don't add oil. Everything else can be added. Chapati, you can add it, rip it up into small pieces before you add it. Eggshells, crush it. Yeah, everything else can be added. And aerobic composters can be kept. This is the last question, so everyone should get it right. Aerobic composters can be kept. Where can it be kept? Anyway, works. Answer 3.
Answer 3.
In confusion between outdoor shaded area and Alright, so the correct answer is outdoor shaded area. Anyway, does not work because under the sink is not a good idea, and next to the dining table, absolutely not, because it's inside your house. So outdoor shaded area, outdoor ventilated area is the correct answer. Okay, everyone did really well. Most of the answers were correct. Couple of corrections here and there, which is perfectly fine. And let's move on. So a couple of answers to the common composting hiccups. So as is with the new things that you start in life, you may face some issues. No worries at all. So if your compost is wet and smelly, which is the most thing that we keep hearing, that why is it smelly? It's because the correct conditions are not being met inside the composter. Don't press your waste into it. If you feel like it's getting full too fast, doesn't mean you should press it. That will only make the situation worse. And your composting, the environment, instead of turning aerobic, it will go anaerobic because there is no air circulation inside it. Add more brown matter into it, sprinkle a little water if it's a terracotta pot, and mix it. This will usually take care of wet and smelly issues in your composter. This is what it should look like, and all the other videos that I showed above. That's how you should add waste and brown matter into your composter. And if you see white fungus, don't get scared. That means you're doing it correctly. Just continue as usual. And my compost is not powdery. Why does it have large chunks in it? That is because you haven't sieved it. So you can get a sieve like this, a plastic sieve or a bamboo sieve, and sieve your composter, and you will get powdery tea leaf consistency kind of compost. But if you don't mind that, if you don't mind the large chunks, you can put it as it is into your gardening beds and plants. It completely depends on you and what kind of a gardener you are. And fruit flies, yeah, you may end up seeing a couple of fruit flies, and even the fruit fly maggots you may see inside it. Again, don't get scared. They're not harmful. They are kind of a nuisance, but they're not a health hazard. Enough remix powder will usually solve this problem. So in the video that I showed of my personal bubble senior, I don't add even the newspaper or any kind of plastic sheet on top, because I cover it with enough remix powder. So I still do get a few 1 or 2 houseflies here, fruit flies here and there. There's nothing to worry about. If you can source lemongrass spray, you can spray it daily after you add waste onto it. Like spray on top of the composter with it, and they don't like the smell, and they tend to stay away from that. You can also put camphor bits in water and keep it next to the composter and top of the composter. That will also keep it away. So yeah, don't get worried about fruit flies. Yes, sorry, I forgot to mention that you can also get a typical mosquito net and just cover the entire composter. And this will usually keep all types of insects away, including fruit flies. So that is also an option that we can explore. And so suppose you got this composting kit with 3 or 4 units, but all of your units are full. So what happened? Why did that happen? Is because you're either making more waste, and your composting unit is small than what your requirement is, or what's happening is the process is happening slowly inside your composter. So if you have a large family and you get a small composting unit, you definitely need more units to handle that amount of waste. And also the other thing what could have happened is, if you have a terracotta pot and you're not adding enough water, the contents of it might have completely gotten dry, and so the process has just stopped. Things have just dried up inside the composter, so the process is not happening. Sprinkle some water, mix it in with a rake, and everything will be fine. Okay, so any other doubts, any other issues that you have with composting? These are the commonly common things that people tell us that this is happening. My remix pot is over. Why does my terracotta pot look white and flaky? All of this and the solutions for this can be seen at the Learn section of the dailydump.org website. If you have our composter, any other aerobic composter, you may face any of these issues. So go there and check out the solutions for that. But don't get scared seeing all this. It's just a new habit, a new thing that you're trying. So don't get scared. We are there to help you. We also have a compost helpline number. So you can take a screenshot or note this number down. All right, just 2 seconds for people to note the number down. Right, and then we have a whole range of composters, terracotta products, a larger composter for joint families or a small community. Then the gobble range of composters, the plastic ones which we can ship to any corner, any pin code of India. Then these are our community composters called Gaia. There's another one, Aga and Gaia. Then the Gobble Max also has a smaller one called the Gobble Mini. So we're just trying to make composting accessible and easy to each and every person. So no matter what your requirement is, what kind of a family you have, wherever you live in India, we can get one of these composters to you absolutely without any problem. So yeah, when you start composting, keep tagging us on Instagram. You will become a part of this lovely community of people who love cleaning up India and rest of the world. So we urge you to join us. So please do. Don't just tell your children about the world. Show them, make it a better place also for the next generation. So right, I think I can wrap it up here, and we can do a quick Q&A. If there's any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask away, or you can also type it in the chat box. And my own personal work number, I've just mentioned it at the bottom left corner. So if you can also shoot me a message, give me a call. I will help you out.
If any questions, you can unmute and ask Rasia ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello. Good
Yes,
afternoon,
I can
Ms.
see you.
Rasia, ma'am. Firstly, I heartily appreciate for you and your entire daily dump team for your great works and eco-friendly activities. My question is, what is meant by the remix powder, and what are the ingredients used in that remix powder?
Right. So remix powder is mostly finely powdered dry coco peat along with microbes and matured compost mixed into it. So we're just trying to give a simple solution for people. So all you have to do is just open the bag. The bag that it comes in, it's a pretty big bag, 3 kg bag. It's a 15-liter bag. So you just have to open the bag, take it out, put it on top of the kitchen waste. We're trying to make it as hassle-free as possible. That's why those are the ingredients, and that is why we introduced this product.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, hi.
Ma'am, how does
Niharika.
the black soldier come inside it, ma'am?
Yeah, so it will. The black soldier fly is just around in nature. It's looking for waste to be composted. So it kind of smells and can like sense, where the composting is going on, and they will enter through those tiny the holes on the side for aeration. Yeah, and these microbes and these insects are just in the environment, so they do just appear. And also, it's not necessary that your composter will get these flies or maggots, and the composting will happen even without them. So if you feel like you want to avoid all of them and you can put a mosquito net around it, the composting will still happen. Yes, I hope that answered your question.
Actually, I just wanted to add one point
Yes.
because I think you have a separate collection for your flowers, puja flowers. because this flowers and leaves take a longer duration for decomposing, and the vegetable kitchen waste will take 45 days.
I'm so sorry, just a second. Yeah, sorry, there was some feedback. I think it should be fine now. Yeah, go ahead.
And the fruits and the flowers and leaves will take longer duration, maybe 5 to 6 months for composting. So I think it's a good idea that we have a separate thing for flowers and leaves. Anyway, the leaves on the bottom you have taken for absorption, but I think there is a separate kamba for your flowers, and you will be having that only the microbes and not the powder, right? That is one thing which because I have both the collections with me. There one for the puja flowers and the kamba.
Okay. Yeah, yes, you can.
I want to, I just want to.
Yeah, so some people may want to separate the puja flower waste. For that, you can definitely do that. You can put it in the regular kitchen composter also. But yeah, it will take a little longer, as you said.
So that the process of, if you have a uneven ratio of the flowers and the kitchen waste, maybe the process, the final output may not be the way it is expected. So that is one.
So I was mentioning that if you have small amounts of flour, just a little bit every day, you can add it with your kitchen waste. But of course, you have a lot of flour waste. It is better to segregate it and compost it separately. Yes. I think in the chat also somebody has asked, what's the use of maggots in composting? So Giridhar, maggots in composting, as I said, they are like the superheroes of composting. If you see them in the composter, they are the maggots of the black soldier fly. So I had shown a photo also of what they look like. The black soldier fly will lay these maggots inside your composter. The eggs will hatch, and then those maggots, those fat little white worm kind of things, they are the ones who will eat the waste and make it into good quality compost. The composting will happen even without them. But if you see these maggots in your composter, be happy that they came to visit your composter. So you don't really have to get them anywhere. They will just appear. When they know that there is composting happening someplace, they will just appear. It may not happen immediately, but eventually most probably it will. Yes. Thank you so much, Vismaya. What exactly is brown? No, brown matter is, it can be different things. It can be cocoa peat, it can be dry, shredded brown leaves, it can be sawdust, it can be straw, like the dry straw, grass and all. You can shred those up. That can be brown matter. It can be shredded paper, cardboard, all of these things can be classified as browns. So an equal mix, good mix of greens and browns is what gives you good quality composting process, like a correct composting process.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, do we get that browns from the daily dump, ma'am, from your organization?
Yes, we can. I'm so sorry. Yes, I'm just going to write our website on here. It's dailydump.org. You can just browse the products. You can get the under the shop category. You'll see composters. You'll see composting accessories. So just go read through those and see which is the correct.
We cannot make that browns by ourselves, ma'am.
You can make it by yourselves. If you're starting to compost for the first time, I would suggest you buy remix powder and try composting with that. And then once you have gotten used to composting and you've gotten the hang of it, then you can mix 50% of the remix powder, 50% of your finished compost, mix it together, and then add that as the brown matter. You can also add remix powder or plain cocoa peat, plain dry cocoa peat, mix it with shredded leaves. So all of these brown matter that I mentioned earlier, you can mix them, interchange them again and again, try different ratios, combinations of them to create your own special, mix of brown matter. Yes.
Actually, if there are no questions, I can just add to. If you have any questions. So there is one small thing for the school kids. I think no, for the kids, you have those small tiny things, no, other than your
Gobble
bob,
solo or the man.
so that the school kids can actually start. I think if you are having them, you can show to them that no, these kids also can start it as an activity, right? I think I saw them in your thing, so that the schools can be taking this as an initiative as part of their activity, so that it will be a thing to the society, contribution from the school kids to the society, so that
We need to start educating this generation.
yeah, I think I saw this small thing where you were showing it, no, so for teaching the kids.
Yes, definitely. So that's called the Gobble Solo. If you go on a website, you can. But I don't have a. It's basically one of this, but much smaller. It's like this small. So you can take it into class and show it. Yes. I would just like to take a video, like a screenshot of if some of you can show me your video, like turn your videos on. I would love to take a screenshot and just with your happy happy faces at the end of this session. This is a thank you for joining. All right, anyone else wants to put their video on just for a second? All right, and here we go in 1, 2, 3. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Any other questions? I'd be happy to answer them. And I'm just putting in my number here too. If you have any more queries, any other thing I can help you with, you can message me on WhatsApp, give me a call.
Okay. Shall we end it?
Yes.
I think no more questions. Thank you, Rasia, for engaging us with your tips and preventions and all practical session. We are very thankful to you for really it will worthy for them. They will. I hope they will start all these things. They will follow it. Thank you very much, Rasia. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So yeah, after I just want to add another thing. If you have those curd buckets that you get, those small curd buckets, most people will have that at home. You can make small holes in that and try like a small composting kit inside that. So all your kitchen waste, cut it up into small pieces because this composter will be quite small. So if you have a large piece of like a potato peel, tomato or a mango peel and all, cut it up into small pieces, add it in, add the brown matter in layers like we discussed. I think you will get about 2 to 3 layers, and then just let it be. Let it be. You can mix it, keep it for a couple of weeks, and you can experiment with composting as a DIY kit without buying any new products. Yeah.
Yes. If any photos are there, you can share me. I will share in my group.
Okay, sure. Thank you for joining.
Okay, Rasia. Thank you very much. A very useful session for us.